So how much of your time is spent kind of finding and tracking fresh talent that you already know but want to know where they are, and how do you go about doing that?
I mean, I'd say it's pretty much a majority of my job is knowing who's out there, who's coming out of the programs, who's moved here from another city. So, I see a lot of things. I go to a lot of off-Broadway, off-Broadway, you name it. So it's a lot of tracking and just becoming fans of people.
Do you think that actors that don't have representation, are they literally at a disadvantage?
I don't think it's a disadvantage. I think it's a different way. There's so many actors right now without reps, particularly with what's I feel like been going on with the industry lately. So I'm never surprised when I had an actor just last week come in for me who was so fantastic, and I looked down and I realized, that he wasn't repped, and I went out in the hallway afterwards and I said, what the hell happened? And he said, yeah, I got dropped. And I mean, it's so common to so many of my friends and actor friends. It's just what's happening right now with the contracting. So again, like, I think that's where the casting director comes in, and I think you have to hustle in a different way.
For actors who are kind of either starting late or have large gaps in their resumes, do you find that puts them at a disadvantage with you guys?
We don't even look at resumes when we're casting television and film. I don't care. It's not what matters is what's in front of me and what someone is doing in the audition. The resume it's just not a thing.
Any do's and don'ts for actors when self-taping?
No, I think it's overrated. I think there's a weird urban legend about self-tapes in that I just think we have to be able to see you, we have to be able to hear you, and that is enough. I always say if I can see the color of your eyes, that's a really good cue for me. But I've seen the worst quality tapes. I've seen tapes. I remember there was an actress for, I think, Dickinson. It literally looked like she was maybe in the hole that the girl's sitting in Silence of the Lambs. I mean, it was just it was a terrible tape, and she got the part. There was never a talk. There was never a big issue about what was going on out, except for her audition. I don't think you need the cards. I don't think you need I don't know what those things are called. When your name comes up and it fades out, or this bells and whistles. There's a lot of people doing it, but it's actually quite annoying.
Can you give us an idea of what percentage of roles do you think are being cast with actors that either the directors, producers already know, you already know, versus cold auditions, people out of the blue?
It's shifted in a good way. I know a lot of actors are so unhappy about the self-tape situation. Well, I don't know if people are here or not, but I will say it's really been a great thing for us because we are seeing so many more actors now we don't know. Typically, when I'm working, if I know I only have a few hours to get something done, or I know I have a team in a room for a day or a certain amount of hours, then I know I can see 24 actors, right? But right now with the self-tape, I can open that up. I can see 50 to 60 actors, and we really do look at everything. So we're constantly seeing new people or people we might not have been on our radar because of the self-tape process.
Would you say that it would be beneficial for actors to have direct relationships with casting directors, or should they be focused on their reps kind of bridging the gap?
I think it's both. I think two things can be true. I do think I'm a firm believer, and of course I'm biased because I'm a casting director, but I'm a firm believer in having the relationship with the casting office. I think we're your biggest champions. We try to really go to bat for actors, so I think you can do both, and I think it's only helpful for the representative if you have a good relationship with the casting office. I always say, there are so many actors I know and I love that I want to give jobs to. Why the hell am I going to give a job to a stranger? So I think it's really important to get into the circle of whatever that casting director's work is, and get known and get seen, so we remember you.
Do you think it's advisable for actors to present a card or make some sort of a connection to casting directors in person?
In just life?
Just in person, in life.
So
walking down the street,
yeah,
doing
so
something like this?
I have cast my waitress at EJ's. I've cast a guy on a subway. So I think it's really useful to have your stuff on you. Do I want them to hand it out to me? No, unless I'm asking for it. But you would be surprised how many times I do that. Yes.
So you've done the fabled, like, discovered you on the street.
Absolutely.
Sort of. All right, nice. Do you find that directors, producers are pushing you to be aware of and pushing actors to be aware of social media presence? Apparently the actors feel under pressure.
No, because it does come up. Yeah. It has come up. It does come up. It's terrible. And it's a reality.
Are people saying, well,
yes,
so-and-so has so many followers,
yes.
go after them? Yeah.
Yes. And that's happened for Broadway. It's happened on every medium I've worked on. Yes, it comes up. That's not to say it's the rule, but it's come up more frequently than I have thought it would.
In your opinion, what are some of the biggest misconceptions about what casting directors do and can't do?
I would say that probably the biggest misconception is we're decision makers. We're not. I mean, we're curators, so my job is to bring in the people that I think are best suited for a role. So I equate my job to very much like a really good ice cream store, in that I need to make sure my team has really great flavors to choose from. I don't really care what flavor they choose. I wouldn't be serving the ice cream if I didn't like it, right? So I'm only giving them really great things to pick from, and eventually they will pick something. So that's how I look at my job. Okay. It's just to make sure I have really great flavors of ice cream.
Give us a lay of the land of what you think are the differences between casting like an open-ended TV series, like a limited series, a low-budget indie, a big studio movie. Like what are the biggest kind of differences and similarities?
TV is a really interesting process. For me, it's very different because theater is a much slower process. You go through workshops and readings, and it takes a year or two to get something up. And with television, there's something very liberating about it because you have an episode coming at you every week and a half, every 2 weeks. So the process is just very quick. I would say the big difference with television is there's a lot of people weighing in, many times often people that I don't think have any as much experience as I might say I might have. But so there are a lot of cooks in the kitchen to get everyone on one decision. With the film stuff, it's very different. I mean, Another Earth, the films we've worked on typically are very scrappy. They rarely have very much money. They're people that have a really clear vision and an idea of what they want to do, and we try to help facilitate that. So I would say the film stuff is much more of a creative process, though there are so many films that we work on that don't ever get seen or don't ever get made or they fall apart. I mean, the financial component of that is just something altogether different. I think now with the addition of streamers and things like that, the television market, at least for me, is much more interesting because it's not as the seasons are shorter. I think the work is more interesting in many of instances. I used to work on network television, and it's very much like blood money. I mean, it's a lot because you're in a season there's 24 episodes. It's just never ending, and I don't particularly love that.